Okay, so another video today. Me mixing Rechazame by Prince Royce. Yeah, I'm gonna mix this in Dolby Atmos and um, Rechazame means reject me. And you don't even have to know Spanish to watch this video. It's not just because you like the Spanish song. We're just gonna be doing mixing it in Atmos. That's what we're gonna be talking about. So this is a good example of a song that has pans like left to right, and a lot of things that Atmos mix engineers think they're gonna do and think it's gonna work well. I mean, it works, but not very well. Another thing is like when stereo first came out, for example, it could be like someone like James Brown. I mean, they'll have the drums on one side and James Brown his vocals on the right side. It's just left right. It sounded very off. Then the stereo mixing engineers figured out that it needs more balance. You'll have the phantom center of the vocals in the center, spread out instruments a little more left right. So then we started having like piano on one side, drums would be like centered, maybe the hi-hats a little bit on the right. So that's what to find a little more balance and static in the mix. That's what we found, that stereo works better, and the same thing goes for Atmos, especially because Atmos is based off of the stereo mix. Atmos isn't changing the feel of the song, and it definitely shouldn't change the emotional feeling you get from a song. For example, there could be a lower point where there's not much energy in that part of the song. That shouldn't be moving all around the room, adding more energy to it. It needs to be to match the energy of the stereo. And if there's something like a lot of vocals and it sounds very big, that's where Atmos is very handy, and that's what makes Atmos so great, because then you can spread it out through the room, make it sound bigger and more immersive. For example, you don't have to have everything crammed left and right. You can have some vocals behind you. You can even expand into the height fields. You can have a little bit above you. You really feel more immersed, and it shouldn't sound different or feel different than the stereo. It should only feel more heightened, like the sensations and the I'm missing the word, but it's the reactions you have to music, like goosebumps, tears, the feelings you get when listening to music. There's a specific word for it. But the main point is you have to stay to the stereo mix. For example, you're gonna hear like the drums, and you can't really change that. So, especially something that is punchy, you want to keep in the front, and you want to really keep it front heavy. That means the LCR space. And when you expand things, you expand it into the surround left right, or if you're working on like a 7.1.4, which like what I usually mix on, you can expand it to the side channels. And then when you want to get the what I like to call more like the immersiveness of Dolby Atmos, instead of expanding the space into like the side channels, you're not adding width, you're immersing, so you're placing behind you. So you can hear the lead vocals in the center, and then the background vocals around you, and that's what adds to the Dolby like effect, and what makes it so immersive and great. So we're gonna hear right now when we load everything in, but circling back to the staticness of Atmos too, that also what we found out is better for stereo, is with the emotion. You kill the emotion when you change the mix of the song. A lot of Dolby mix engineers will fly things around the room, and it's unnecessary. When Dolby Atmos first came out, people were making songs sound entirely different. And it's not that the mixes were bad, they just felt like an entirely different song. It almost felt like a different mix, which it really in reality was. And another thing about Dolby is you're not working through a master bus. That's part of the challenge, but also part of the how do I word this? The greatness of Dolby, because you're not changing the feel of the song, you're expanding the feel, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. And what the Dolby Atmos mix engineers found is that being more static in the mix instead of flying things around, maybe it's up mixing, maybe keeping things in the front and then move it to the back a little bit, so it sound better. So load everything in. I'm not entirely sure what this is. What the hell?